Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Learning Live. It is, heck, what day is it? It is Tuesday, June the 27th. We are less than 6 months to Christmas, so don't panic. It's all good. But here we are with another Learning Live, and Marcie has been playing with the Vicki Boutin Black Foundations paper. Many of our mixed media customers are super fans of Vicki's white foundation paper, not only for its 12 by 12 size, but because it's a nice, heavy, versatile, durable paper that can be used for so many different mixed media techniques. But then I want to say maybe 6 months ago, maybe even last week, Vicki came out with black. So Marcie has been playing around with it, and I'm just going to hand it over to her, and she can tell you everything she has learned. She's been doing lots of playing, so I'm sure she will have some great stuff to share with you tonight. Take it away, Marcie.
Hi, crafters. Welcome to Learning Live. Today, I'm going to show you some ideas on, I've been having fun with the Vicki Boutin's Black Foundation media paper. So it's 12 by 12 size. It's actually 250 pounds, so it's quite a sturdy cardstock. And it's a beautiful black. It's a matte black. And tonight I'm going to be playing with some stencil butter. Now this is fun. This is Tim Holtz Distress Paints. You're going to have fun seeing this. And then I'll show you some ideas with the Colorista paint markers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this off onto my mat. There we go. That's much better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of the stencil butters. This is the tangerine. Make sure I wipe that off because you don't want to mix other colors in. I'm going to add a little bit of the blue. And then a little bit of, the blue was Summer Sky. And this pink one is Watermelon. Now that's a beautiful color. So the idea with the stencil butters on this black, it's the stencil butter is really, it really pops on this thicker cardstock. Using this thicker cardstock is great for a bit of wet medium. It doesn't buckle as much as other papers. But using these three different types of mediums on the black foundation paper, it's magical. So I'm going to first put this through a stencil. I have to find my stencil. There we go. So a few things with the butter. You can add it directly through your stencil. You can even mix it up a little bit. Okay, let's wipe that off. Oops, should really tape it down, but I don't normally. I kind of like it when it goes a little off. It makes it look perfectly imperfect. Okay, so there's one idea. Now you have all of this on top of the stencil. So if you just spray it lightly with water, you can add it down to the bottom of your paper. Okay, let's see. And it gives you another look. Now make sure that when you're done with the stencils that you either clean it off or soak it in water with just a little bit of soap. Now another idea with the stencil butters is you can water them down and you could add these just little flicks onto the paper. It just really, I need more water. It really shows up nicely on the paper. Let's try one of the blues. Oops, a little bit more water. Okay. Now, the other thing you can do with the stencil paste is, of course, you can watercolor with them as well. So watercoloring is, it just bursts on this paper.
So Marcie, why would you use this paper instead of just say a black cardstock?
So this paper is, it's 250 pound or 350 GSM, so grams per square meter. So it's a sturdy, thick cardstock, and it's used for a wet medium. So the cardstock doesn't buckle as much as a lot of the other black cardstock would. If you do a lot of wet products like the stencil butter, wetting it down using the paint you're going to love, the distress paint. I hadn't tried the distress paint on this paper before, and it looks beautiful. Okay, so that, and then what we're going to do is, what I've done ahead of time is I've used the light and fluffy modeling paste, and I put it through my stencil, and this stencil is Color Your World from Crafter's Companion. I think Darlene has used this as well, and there's a gorgeous sample in the store behind the till that she's done in a frame from one of Chris's workshops. So we do that, and I didn't actually experiment that much with the let's move this out of the way, with the oxide inks, but when you have it white on top of this, it's beautiful. So I just want to just show you a little bit. Now, when you use the stencil paint, or what am I trying to say? When you use the paste, it sort of makes it into a matte. And with the modeling paste, you can mix colors in, so it would lighten up everything. Or when it's still wet, I have sprinkled, actually, I'll show you here. I actually sprinkled a little bit of glitter, and you can see here, so I put it through the stencil all at the same time. This half, I actually, I heat it up, and it's sort of, you can see the texture, it's sort of bubble your butter, as we say. Now, with the rest of what's on this table, I am just going to water it down and just drag, put my paper through. And you get this beautiful color, symphony of colors on your paper. Now, this one was really fast, but I did one a little bit earlier, and it just, the sheen. What you need on, what to use on these papers, you need mediums that are, have mica in them, or iridescent, or metallic mediums. They work really, really well on this paper.
Marcie, sorry to interrupt you. Can you just come down a little bit on the camera?
Oh, am I too close up?
Yeah, I think it bumped when you switched. So that's much better. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's clean this up. Oh, there is one other thing with which I absolutely love. So I took the heart stencil. I just want to show you this quickly too. I took this copper. This copper penny is a stunning, stunning color. And what I've done is I took, let's just use the balloons for a sample. And I've just lightly put a little bit on the end of my Nuvo brush. And I'm just going to work it in a little bit. And then all you need to do is pull it whichever way you want the direction of the, what would you call this? It sort of makes it look really wispy. And isn't that stunning? I love the way it shines. Now with this, you can either just continue wiping it on the card, or you can again water it down. Oops. And just add it to the bottom. Look at that. Oops.
Marcie, would you say that this paper is fairly smooth, or does it have a texture to it?
So it's smooth. It's very similar on both sides. It's smooth on one, and it has just a little bit of, I don't know if it's tooth you would call it, on the other side. While I was experimenting, I didn't really see much of a difference when it came to the mediums on the paper per se. So I suppose you could use either side. I mean, you can use either side, but there's not that much of a difference between the two. Okay, let's clean this up. And this next one, I am actually going to pull out a jelly plate. This is going to be so much fun. A jelly plate and my roller. And I'm taking these 3 distressed paints. So it's the saltwater taffy, mustard seed, and uncharted mariner. So I'm just going to add a drop of each onto my, that's a little much. I was getting a, where is it? There we go. There. Okay, that's a little much. You don't need that much on your roller, on your jelly pad. You're going to take this and you're going to roll it back and forth to cover your whole entire roller. Okay. And then we are going to roll it. I should have taped my paper down. Roll it onto the paper. Can you say, ooh, ah, isn't that pretty? So I did one with a smaller roller. And then I did one a little bit bigger as well. And then you have all this paint already on here. So you could just lift this up, off, and there you get sort of like a shabby chic rustic. Now, the great thing about these distressed paints is they're water-based acrylic paints. So they have a thin viscosity and they're more liquidy than regular paints. But the great thing about the distressed paints is they are, like all of Tim's distressed lines, is water reactive. So you can add water to them and they'll wick. But once it's perfectly dry, it's permanent. You don't have to seal it. And you can't, if you're putting water back on once it's dried, it won't move. Let's clean this off.
You're getting lots of comments about how vibrant the colors are looking.
The colors, okay, before I do anything, we need to clean off our roller. Oops, wrong way. Okay, we'll clean that later. So the colors are very vibrant. They sit on this cardstock, and it's a burst of color. And this one, if I hadn't have put it directly on, I would probably have even sprayed a little bit just to show you how it sort of wicks. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. And let's get on. I'll show you the Colorista markers. We'll come back at the end. I have some products or not products, some ideas that I've done to show you. I do want to show you one thing though. So I haven't actually shown the mica sprays, but these really pop off the page, the mica sprays. they were sprayed directly onto the page. And I hear that there might be another 3 coming out for closer to Christmas. And I think these ones are always one and done. So now with the, let's put this here, with the Colorista, these are metallic. I just want to find the package. Where did I put the package? Right here. So these are the paint markers. They're they jump off the page. Some of them, like the red, hold on, let's use the pink and the gold. You can, let's use the gold. Oop. So some of the darker colors, like the red and the hot pink, doesn't show as immensely as the golds and the silvers and even the light greens. Let me show you the light green. And with these, you can also water them down. And then you get this beautiful, you actually have to, let's try it again. Let's apply the marker and then watercolor. And then watercolor. So you can actually pull it. You can pull it right down and you get this beautiful iridescent metallic color on your page. So what I did is, these are samples of the metallic paint markers. So those are the colors that you get in the box.
Come towards you just a little bit. That's better.
High?
Thank you. You're a little bit too high. You're better now. You're good.
Okay. All right. And then these are the paint markers, and these are some of the colors that you get in your box. Another idea is, not an idea, but just the amount of pop you get from a lot of the iridescent and metallic mediums. I used the, this is the two-tone spray. So I didn't add any water to it, but I used the end of the spray bottle, the tip, and I just sort of tapped some on this paper, and then I used water. And you don't get the darker, the fuchsia. It doesn't come through. It would definitely come through on white cardstock, but you get the gold coming out like that. It's beautiful. And then here I used the Wink of Stella, and that's stunning as well. Okay, let's just, what I'm going to do is, let's get a piece of paper and I'll show you what we can do with doodling with these beautiful markers. So you can, putting it on sort of like this, and then adding the green. Okay, not my greatest day in doodling, but let's try it through a stencil. So with the stencil, what I did is I colored in some of the hearts. There we go. Colored in some of the hearts, just like that. Okay, so that's just really quick. Let me try with the metallic markers as well. And let's try this purple one. And then what you can do is just doodle right over your hearts. So you're taking a white jelly roll, and honestly, I don't have the one I have the one that's at the store, but I don't have it with me at the moment. So we're just going to be using this one. And what I've done is I'm just sort of loosely, oh, there's stuff on there. And maybe you do a dashed around this one. And then maybe dots along this one. And do something sort of like this. So I have gone through the stencil, I've colored. I would actually let the paint markers and the metallic markers dry before you start outlining or doodling, just to give it a chance to soak into the cardstock. You can do flowers. You can do...
Marcie, do those paint markers, do they get more vibrant as they dry?
Where did I put that? The paint markers, yeah, yes, they do. I'm just thinking this is the paint marker. It is dark when applied, and then once it dries, they do get lighter.
Yeah, because they don't even look like they're the same color.
Just wait, let's see. Now, the other thing with the paint markers is you don't want to continually color in the same spot, because what'll happen is, I don't know if you can see that there, it starts lifting up some of the paper. So it might be better just doing a couple of little strokes like this when you're coloring, and not like you were coloring with the pencil crayon. So I have a couple of finished projects I thought that I would show you. This was also a bit of just doodling with flowers with the metallic and the paint markers, just having a bit of fun there. I love this size, the 6x8 size, because it fits in an art journal, which I love. I love my 6x8 art journal. And so I used the Vicki Boutin black foundation paper with this, and I've used the collection of the Spectrum gardenia. So what I did here is I used the fabric tape, and I just sort of used my scissors and pulled the sides, frayed the sides. I used a stencil, and I used the paint markers to color in the drops. And this is an all-in create. I got this in specially for me, but I think we might be able to get it in. But what I did is I stamped it, and I used white embossing powder, and then I cut it out and I popped it on top of the 6x8. And then I used some paint markers to color the handle of the paintbrush. And then I used some of the butterflies from the gardenia as well. This gardenia is stunning. Oh, and then I used just a partial, this is Hero White's ink, and I just partially stamped some of the font around the page. This is another idea with so I used the TN, the Elizabeth Craft die, and I rolled the distressed paint on. And then I just I thought, I don't know if I actually like it like this or like this. So there are two different ideas. It's something that, or you could even pull these out. I've glued them or taped them in. But you can decide which way you like it better. Let me know, which way do you like it better? Do you like the full rainbow or just rainbow on the hearts?
How did the paper hold up to the wet medium, Marcie? Did it buckle at all, or like did it smooth out as it dried? How did it hold the water?
It did. So this was what I just rolled on. It's dry. It's not buckled at all. Because it's such a heavy weight, you'll find that you won't get very much buckling. And if you do, it will flatten out because it's such a good quality, a very heavy, sturdy cardstock.
But it was still okay for die cutting too?
Yes. Yeah, perfect for die cutting as well. I just ran this through my machine once, and it cut it beautifully. And then
gotta love a multi-purpose paper. Good staple for your stash.
Absolutely. So this was my final project. I just want to make sure that it's in the... So this one was a bit out of my comfort zone. I don't usually scrapbook smaller photos. But when I showed this to Darlene, she's like, wow, Marcie, that's a great idea, because she has her Disney photos and she has little character photos that she could put in these film strips. So these film strips are the 49 in Market. All of this was the gardenia chipboard words. And then what I did is, these are some rub-ons. These are the rub-ons from the 49 in Market. I used the paint and I watered it down, and then I splattered. I love my splatters. The splatters just really pop on this page. And then I used my stencil, and I took the stencil butter through the stencil, and then I just tapped it through with a blending tool. And it's a little bit lighter, but if you wanted something darker, you could just pull the stencil butter straight through the stencil, and you would get more of a, like this. It'd be more solid. It'd be more vibrant. But I wanted something a little more subtle. I wanted to focus more on the photos. So this cardstock, this Vicki Boutin's foundation paper, is a beautiful weight. It is perfect for your mixed media projects. It won't buckle. It's good. You have using a lot of the opaque mediums, like the mica sprays, the iridescent, and the metallic mediums, like the stencil butter, everything. But I know that if you guys, the jelly plate is something new, and there might possibly be something that Chris and I are working on with the jelly plates. And there may possibly be something that I'm working on with 6x8 art journal. So if anybody's interested, please leave notes in the comments.
You're just teasing everybody, Marcie.
I am.
So what is your favorite wet medium to use on these papers? Did you prefer the paint, or did you prefer the stencil butter?
Okay, well, I love my stencil butter. You can do a lot of great things with it, but I was really surprised with the distressed paint. I just found that it especially using your jelly plate, being able to roll it out onto a paper, you can water it down and apply it to this paper. You can, once you dry it, you can definitely add more mediums on top. So once this is dry, it's permanent. You don't have to seal it. But once it's wet, when you apply it wet, and if you spray some water, you'll see that it wicks. It's very interesting. I'm really, really loving the distressed paints right now. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for showing us all those beautiful samples and all of your techniques. I would encourage everyone to get, especially if you like those wet mediums, I'm never sure what the plural is. Get some black foundation paper, try it out, put it through the paces just like Marcie did, and just play and see what works for you. Like Marcie said, the weight is lovely. It withholds the water. I guess it doesn't withhold the water, but it withstands the water. So that you can do all these wet techniques without having to continually heat it to try and get it flat. So that is our homework challenge for all of you, is to get some black foundations paper and give it a try. So that's it for us tonight. Thanks again, Marcie. Your projects are phenomenal as always. And we will see everyone back here tomorrow at 7 for What's New. Matt tells me we have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of a hodgepodge. Plus, I might have some extra information. You know, Marcie had her teasers. I may have a teaser or two for you as well. So make sure we see you back here tomorrow night at 7. Any last words, Marcie?
Try this medium. Try this paper. If you do try it, please post on our page. We'd love to see what you guys are doing. Maybe we'll get some more ideas. Maybe, you'll encourage people to get out of their comfort zone. I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. If I can do it, you guys can do it.
There you go. Well, have a good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.